What is up, you beautiful people? This is Better Call Saul, your favorite teenage realtor out here in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. So today, I'm going to tell you guys the story of how I ended up becoming Arizona's youngest realtor. But before I do so, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, share, anything, it would mean the absolute world to me because I run an extremely small channel and it would help me out so much. And as always, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments or you can DM me on my personal Instagram at Saul_Rahimian, and I would love to help you out. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so you guys, before I tell you the actual steps in which I became Arizona's youngest realtor, I need to give you guys a little bit of context about who Saul Rahimian, or Saul for you guys, is, and who my family consists of. So you guys can just get some context and better understand, the decisions that I've made in my life thus far. Granted, I am fairly young, but context is always a wonderful thing. So growing up, my father and my grandfather, they were both fairly successful. I almost slipped up there, but I caught it. They were fairly successful entrepreneurs in their own right. They're both very intelligent, and outside of them, my family mostly consists of professionals in terms of lawyers, engineers, doctors. So as you can imagine, growing up, I was always kind of on this ledge. I was teeter-tottering and seesawing between who am I going to be when I grow up? What really interests me and what makes me tick as a human being? And the way, that I ended up deciding who I want to be as I grow up and the legacy that I leave behind, a lot of that was influenced actually from reading this book that I've mentioned in a couple of other videos. It's Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now, I know a ton of other financial professionals and YouTubers that you may have watched have recommended this book from Robert Kiyosaki, and I've frankly even recommended it in YouTube videos prior to this one, but it really is what led me to make the decision of getting into real estate. And after it, it's not like there was a clear path for me, because being 14, there's not a lot of things that you can do in terms of, finance or real estate or the stock market. So I ended up kind of compartmentalizing everything that I read in that book and throwing it away. I didn't think about it for another 3 or 4 years, but it was always in the back of my mind and it would always creep up, but I would always kind of, hush it away and ignore it because I couldn't do anything. But here's kind of when that changed. Okay, so fast forward a couple years, I was just coasting through life. I finished middle school, and now at this point I was focusing on high school. I was reading a couple books here and there, nothing major, but here's when that change again occurred. So I was 17, and I was kind of looking at myself. I was really contemplating the decisions I'd made in my life, and I was like, man, I have no money, I can't invest in anything, and that's all my heart desired at that age. So what did I do? Well, being a teenager that had no money, no social skills at the time, no network, no qualifications to do goddamn near anything, I went and I did what any teenager can do, and I got a minimum wage job. I ended up working for Home Depot. You can choose any minimum wage job. That's just what I ended up landing at because it was close to my house at the time. And frankly, I came in there, I was a nobody. I couldn't do anything. I had never worked a day before in my damn life because I was blessed in that I had everything provided to me up until that point. I never had to work, and honestly, I know a lot of people don't have that opportunity in their life, so I was very blessed. But coming in, I did have one thing that was kind of, one little trick up my sleeve, and that was my work ethic. Because I knew that I can outwork anyone in that store. And frankly, when it comes to the corporate ladder, when you're 17 and you have no formal education, as in like college, there's not many places that I could go with that. But here's what I did. Every single week, I would show up on time. I would never miss a shift. I would never call in late, nothing. I was the perfect employee. I was cashier of the month my first month, and I worked my ass off every month that I was there. And here's what it ended up getting me. I got my little apron, the little cute little dangly cashier of the month apron that was up on the wall, which I treasured at that age because it was the only thing that I'd done in my life that I qualified as an achievement. And I got like this random, award from, Home Depot because of how hard and how good of a worker I was. and I got this little pin too from them. It's all just like really cute stuff, but to me at that age, it meant a lot because I was picking up everyone's shifts and I was giving the utmost customer service that I can. And that is kind of when I got my taste for sales because I was a cashier, but I wanted more. So on top of being that cashier, taking care of everyone, I was also going out and doing the carts. I was staying late. I was working overtime. And here's that little step that I realized I have a little bit of a chance to prove myself. So at Home Depot, they have these credit cards. And I created like this little spiel that I would give every single customer with absolutely no shame. I would give it to them. And I wouldn't push hard, but I would push to basically ask them, oh, we can give you this type of discount. We can give you, we can throw in this into the deal if you sign up for a credit card. Now, I ended up actually being the person for a couple months that was selling is not the right word. I was getting the most credit card applications in. And the reason for that is because I was incredibly enthusiastic and honestly, I could take rejection very well. There wasn't a thing anyone could tell me that would bring me down. I remember my second week working at Home Depot. I was there at 6:30 a.m. and I was helping this customer and he threw his goddamn piping at me because he did not like that I didn't speak Spanish because I'm Iranian, so I didn't understand what he was saying. And I went to go and try and find someone to help and he just lost it. And I don't blame him because he was a very hardworking man. It was early in the morning and I probably angered him. But I grew from that experience in that I didn't let it get to me at all. I turned around every customer after that. I gave them stellar service and, it's Home Depot. I did the best that I could do. 6 months later, here's when that ended up happening. I realized I'm not getting anywhere. I have all these awards, but my only thing that I could gain from getting a credit card was earning these little tiny $2 candies or $2 energy drinks for free, and that didn't satisfy me enough, so I started looking for more. Can you guess what I did? Well, I'll give you a spoiler, because no one's gonna guess this. I quit my damn job, right? With no opportunities coming up, with literally nothing happening in my life, I pulled out completely, right? And at this point, I was still in high school. This is the summer of I think it was my sophomore year. My mistake. It was my junior year, actually. I pulled out completely. Cold turkey, I left Home Depot. I put in my 2-week notice and I left. And I had nothing, right? I had the money that I saved up, but it was a stupid decision at the time, seeing as I had nowhere to go. Obviously I had a home still because I was living with my parents. But what I did do is that I saw a YouTube video, and it's embarrassing to say this because I fell for one of those drop shipping scams where I didn't sign up for a course, but I created my own drop shipping site. It was called Official Car Addicts. I still have the Instagram account up for it, but I don't have the website active and I've taken it down completely because I was convinced I could make $1 million before I turned 18, right? So I started this drop shipping account and I failed miserably, and I will make a video in the future about that and all these drop shipping scams and bullshit that's out there. But at that point, after that drop shipping thing failed, I fell flat on my face because I was so embarrassed. I gave up the only job I had in my entire life up to that point to go and try and sell things on the internet. What a stupid decision, right? So I was looking for a way out, and I came back to that book that I read when I was 14, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and a couple of other books that I've mentioned in other videos, like How to Build Friends or How to Win Friends and Influence People by Andrew Carnegie or Dale Carnegie. I apologize for butchering that, but I'm going off of this completely off the top of my head. And I decided, you know what? I'm safe at home. I have a stable place to live. I'm going to go all out and YOLO it and get into real estate, right? Keep in mind, I'm 17, right? So at this point, I'm still a complete joke. But here's what I did, right? So I call Arizona School of Real Estate and Business. Late one afternoon, it was like 4:30, 10 minutes before they closed. And I called them. I was very shy. I was like, hey, I was just wondering, I was looking at your site, and I know that I have to be 18 to actually get the license to practice real estate in Arizona, but is there anything I can do? is there any chance, I could just sit in some classes, just I'll sit in the back. I won't bother anyone, just anything to let me learn. To my surprise, they said, yeah, there is. You can come in. And we ended up talking on the phone for a little bit, and I was like, you know what, you guys, let me run this by you. What if I come into your class? I'll pay for the courses, right? But I'll come in at 17. Let me get my hours out of the way before I turn 18. So the goddamn second that I turn 18, I can get my real estate license, right? Because that's the only thing I wanted at this point in my life. And they said, yeah, you can do that. There's no problem with that. So we shoveled out the money, and I showed up every single day. 10 hours a day. I was in real estate school with 35 and 40-year-olds, bless their heart, because they were sitting there and they see this little scrawny 17-year-old kid that didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't even know what a mortgage was. I was sitting there trying to figure everything out, and I was scared because I was embarrassed off of how little I knew, but I was determined because, as I mentioned earlier, I had that work ethic, right? And I was waking up every morning, right? I was terrified, and I was going to the gym at like 4:30 in the morning, and then I was coming home showering and then bolting all the way off across town so I could spend the next 10 hours sitting in a class talking about finance, about mortgages, about real estate law, about, title, escrows, all of that stuff, right? And, it didn't go how I thought it went. And let me tell you why it went like that. I showed up, I really didn't know anything. This is 2 weeks before school started. I grind through, I finished these classes, and granted, because my birthday is August 8th, literally like the day school started, I finished all of my classes, got my certificates, and I went to take this test. My stupid self went to take this test at 18. I show up, I was terrified out of my mind, right? I was this 17-year-old kid. I mean, they make you space out and take the tests on computers, which I had never done in my life up to that point, because this is, pre-COVID. There was none of this, doing all your work on your computer. All tests that I took up to that point were in person, writing on a piece of paper. And I walk in, they make you put in these little earmuffs that you squeeze into your ear, and you're sitting at this very little huddle table. You're all squeezed up, and you're sitting there, and you're trying to work, right? Long story short, I bust my ass, I read the book, which is like this thick thing, I pass the test, and there's another obstacle, and I'm going to tell you what that obstacle is. So I passed the test, right? And I go and I get, all the things that you need to get your real estate license. I pass the second test, which is the state test. I join an association, and I'm kind of sitting there like, damn, there is nothing that I can do. I'm this 18-year-old kid, who is going to work with me? Who is going to trust me? Who is going to work with me in any way, shape, or form? That's when I remembered my mentor. So this is one of the reasons why I drilled this point of you need someone that is smarter and better than you in every single way when it comes to the career or, the whatever aspirations you have in your life. And I ended up finding that person because I volunteered at a homeless, giving back event back in 2015. And I remembered him. I had him added on Facebook at the time. I sent him a message. I made an introduction. We linked up. I learned a ton from him, and I still am. I'm part of his team to this day. And I ended up joining Kenneth James Realty because of him. I'm going to make a separate video about how to find the right brokerage or find a mentor for yourself, because I've gotten a couple DMs on Instagram about that already. After that point of joining the brokerage, I was a senior in high school still, right? So this is honestly a very weird place for me to be, because I don't even have a high school diploma yet, but I'm a licensed real estate agent, and I'm part of the National Association of Realtors and the Phoenix Association of Realtors, and I am legally and fully capable of servicing my clients for anything they need in terms of my scope of expertise. So my schedule actually at this point was a mess. I was waking up super early in the morning to drive my siblings and myself from home to school. We'd get there at like 7:30. And I had a very interesting schedule because I had met all of my requirements to graduate except for one class. So I would go until 9:45 because that's when my class would end. And the second it hit 9:45, I would book it all the way from Phoenix, where my high school was located, all the way to Tempe, Town Lake, where my brokerage was, right? So I could make the 10 o'clock meeting and basically learn how this whole realtor and real estate agent thing works, how I can generate leads, how I can, run Facebook ads. And I'm going to be honest, I probably should have gotten a speeding ticket every single damn day because I was driving so fast because I needed to make it from there to my work in 15 minutes. And there was nothing that I could do because I couldn't skip school and I couldn't skip these meetings, but I made it work, right? And I did so for 3 or 4 months, and I kept going, and I kept going. And I kept going, and I kept going until one day I struck gold. All of the time that I was putting in up to that point where people were telling me I was crazy and I would have no chance of doing anything in that industry at that age, let alone, not even having a high school diploma, I found someone that wanted to work with me, right? All of my business has been through social media entirely. Even right now, it's all been through social media. And I found someone that wanted to work with me. So I gave them my full effort. I knew that coming in at 18, even if I couldn't provide the actual, physical experience in years, I knew I could be the most highly educated realtor that they were talking to. I could know the entire neighborhood. I could know everything about the house, every square inch. I could go in before them, turn on all the lights. I could go and make sure that contract was written to perfection so they were protected throughout the entire ordeal. And that is exactly what I did. And I finished it. And at this point, I closed my first deal before I even got my damn high school diploma, and I hadn't even graduated yet, right? And then COVID hits. Now, I would be lying to your face if I said COVID didn't throw a huge wrench in things for me, but it threw a wrench in things for everyone, right? So we all went down together, but I knew that I had one thing over 80 to 90% of the other agents out there, and that was, again, my work ethic, and this time something new, my age, because I grew up in the age of electronics and social media, right? Because that wasn't really a thing when our parents were kids. So granted, a lot of these other people in the industry, they're focusing on direct mail. They're focusing on, blowing up people's emails with, spam about, oh, use me as your realtor, when frankly, no one wants to hear that because people aren't just going to use you because you ask them, right? They want someone they can trust and someone they adore. So I put a lot of my time into social media. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't have a big social media following, but what I could do and what I still do to this day is I use it to make meaningful connections with people that I can build a relationship off of and actually provide value for them. And by doing so, even with such a small social media following, I don't even have 1,000 on any platform, right? But having such a small following, I was able to really reach out to everyone that I knew and foster my relationship with them through the internet. Because remember, at this point, I couldn't go out with people. I couldn't introduce myself. I couldn't take them out to coffee. I couldn't take them out to dinner. So I kept doing that, and I ended up getting a couple deals during quarantine just from social media that were entirely referral based, which was amazing for me, right? And I don't want to bore your guys' ear off, but that pretty much concludes the story because I don't want to give you a complete play-by-play of everything that I've done in my real estate career. But that is essentially how I got to getting my first deal done and how I got into the industry. Again, if you guys enjoyed that and you want to know more, please like, comment, subscribe, DM me on Instagram. Again, I said it earlier in the video. It helps me out a ton because I have a super small channel. And if you have any questions, I will literally answer anything. I'll jump on a call with you and give you any advice you need or your heart desires. Just DM me on Instagram at Saul_Rahimian. I hope you guys all have a blessed day.